Hi YouTube! In this video I want to show you yet another 64-bit LTE phone that I got from efox. This phone is called the Ulefone Be Pro. Comes in a white box with a red stripe on it, and it has some specs on the back that are actually correct. Comes with a 5-volt USB wall charger. Comes with a micro USB data and charging cable. It comes with an English instruction manual, and last but not least they also include a screen protector. This phone has a 5.5 inch capacitive 5-point multi-touch screen with a 720 by 1280 HD pixel resolution. It is an IPS display and it also looks like a one-glass solution. It has the MT6732 64-bit quad-core CPU inside, which is clocked at 1.5 GHz. It has 2 GB of RAM, 16 GB of internal memory, and it also supports TF cards up to whatever. Right now it is running on Android 4.4.4 KitKat, but Ulefone promises a Lollipop update later. It is a Quadband, it is totally unlocked, it supports 3G, and one of the highlights of course is that it also supports 4G/LTE. It has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, AGPS, it even supports GLONASS, which is great. It has a G sensor, a proximity sensor, a light sensor, it has a magnetic field sensor, and it also has a very nice multicolor notification LED. It supports USB on the go, so you can hook up different USB devices. It supports OTA, meaning firmware updates over the air. It has some sort of air gestures, and it also has some off-screen gestures. This phone has 2 cameras, one main camera with a 13 megapixel output, autofocus and LED flash, and it's a f2.2, and one front-facing camera with an 8 megapixel output, and it's an f2.8. And of course this phone is a dual SIM, dual standby phone. It weighs about 168 grams and it's about 9.7 millimeters thick. Let's take a closer look at the device. You have your front-facing camera, your proximity and your light sensor right here, and this is your notification LED. The home, back and menu buttons are soft touch buttons and they do not light up. On the bottom we can find a microphone. On the left side we have 2 volume buttons, which are a little unusual because usually you see a volume rocker. On the top we have your USB port and a 3.5mm headphone jack. On the right side you have your power button. On the back you can see your main camera and your LED flash, which is actually not too bad at all. Now the back cover has some sort of matte finish, which is nice because you don't see many fingerprints on it. You have a Ulefone logo, and this is where your speakers are, and it also has a sticker on it on how to open the phone. And if I can get this open for you, which is not quite so easy because the back cover fits really tight, but let me try it anyway. There we go. On the inside we can see that it takes 2 SIM cards, one regular size SIM card, one micro SIM card. This is where your TF card goes, and this is a 2600 milliamps battery. A little fun fact about Ulefone. Now they have been an OEM manufacturer for over 10 years. They make phones for Ulefone for example, but only just recently they started to push their own product line. Like always, I installed additional apps and games for demonstration purposes. If you'd like to see more, please stay tuned. The stock launcher is quite snappy, it's really fast and smooth, nothing to complain about. Now the launcher reminds me a lot of the launchers that are used on the Ulefone, but I guess that's not a surprise. You can add your widgets right here, and we can also change the wallpaper, like for example for the home screen. And I really like the wallpaper picker app right here. As you can see, it reminds me a lot of the good old cover flow times of the Apple iPhone. But let's start by going into the settings. Let's see what we have here. Let's start with about the phone. As you can see right here, you can do your over-the-air firmware updates. Let's see, there it is. And we can also check that it is running on Android KitKat right now. That's no surprise. Let's go back into the settings. What do we have here? We have the notification light settings, and right here you can see that you can choose any kind of color you like. We have red, green, blue, yellow, cyan, white, and violet. So all the mixed colors are supported as well. What else do we have here? We have screen gestures. For example, you can double tap to wake up the screen, but you can also define all sorts of screen gestures. Let's just give it a try right here. Let's do a double tap and it's waking up. So it's working. Let's try another gesture. Let's just draw a C and it should start the camera app, and it's also working just fine. Let's go back into the settings. What else do we have here? We have the screen gestures. Let's check out the language and input. So let's check out which languages are supported on this firmware right now. Feel free to pause anytime you like to see if your language is supported. Back into the settings. Let's check out some gesture sensings right here. So you can use some air gestures for the gallery, for the music app, and for the camera, for example, but I will show you that later. Let's check out the storage, and here's some good news. The entire internal memory can be used for installing apps, so this is great, and this is just my external SD card. In the battery settings we can find an intelligent power saving mode, which can be very helpful if you want to have a better battery standby. We also have Hot Not, which is something a little bit like NFC, but it only works on MTK phones. We have a flash alert, so the LED flash can be used for notification as well. Let's check out some more settings right here. Let's go into mobile networks, and right here we can choose 4G or 3G preferred, whatever you like. And as you can see, you can freely choose which one of these SIM cards is supposed to be the data SIM card. So much about the settings. Let's go into the engineer mode. There we are. Let's check out the band mode. Let's check out SIM1. Here you can see that it is a quad band, and those are your 3G frequencies. And of course we also have the LTE mode. It supports band 1, 3, 7, and it also supports band 20, which is fantastic news for everyone in Germany. And please make sure to check out the frequencies of your service provider to see if your 3G and 4G is supported. Next up, let's try some Google apps. Let's start with the Play Store. Now all the Google apps are working just fine on this phone. There's nothing to worry about, and this firmware is actually very clean. It has absolutely no Chinese bulk or bulkware installed or whatever. Let's try out Google Maps. Google Maps is just working fine. Let me do a little zooming. And let's try out a street view. Let's see if I can find a road that is covered. Let's start the street view. Working great. Zooming, no problem. And we can also test out the compass. And as you can see, the compass is working fine on this device. Next up, let's check out YouTube. Let me turn down the volume for that. It's loading. Let's just play a random video. You can change the position of the player, and of course we can also watch in full screen. Let's see how that looks like. Well, of course I selected a video that is super dark. Let's just fast forward a bit. Maybe we can see a little more. buffering, and this is of course a terrible example, but trust me, YouTube is working just fine. Next up, let's test out some sensors. Let's use the Android sensor box. We have the accelerometer, also known as the G sensor, and it's working great. We have a light sensor. Let's see if I can get the light sensor to work, and it's working fine. We have an orientation sensor, also no problem at all. We have the proximity sensor, also working fine. We don't have a gyroscope sensor, we have a sound sensor right here, and unfortunately this phone does not have a secondary microphone, but I guess we can live with that. And of course we also have the magnetic field sensor, and it's getting readings, but we can also test the magnetic field sensor using a Compass app, and it's working, but I'm not so sure how accurate this really is. Let's exit. Next up, let's do CPU-Z. As you can see, it shows 4 cores right here, but there is a little problem right here. Now CPU-Z thinks this is a MT6732 CPU, which is not true. It is really the 32 GPU. And again, we have the sensors right here. Next up, let's see what Antutu has to say. This phone scores at around 32,000 points, which is very good. And I'm not sure why this score is not verified. I had Wi-Fi on when I did this test. I have no idea what Antutu has a problem with this. And let's check out some information. We can see that it's a 64-bit system, the MT6732, Mali T760. We have the HD resolution right here, a 13 megapixel front camera, 2 GB of RAM. We have 4 cores and it's clocked at 1.5 gigahertz. We can test the multi-touch right here, and as you can see, it is a 5-point multi-touch. And again, at the very bottom, we can check out the sensors. Let's try Nina Mark II to see how the GPU is performing. No, I'm not gonna do a benchmark right here. I'm just gonna show you my last test result, and it scored at 61.4 frames per second, which is also very good. One more benchmark, and I'm gonna do a jump cut because this is boring. So let's just run Quadron standard, and it's running, and I'm doing a jump cut. Almost done, and our score is 9,717. What else do we have here? We can check out the Wi-Fi strength. Now, to give you an idea how good or bad it is, let's just compare it to my Xiaomi Mi 4. And as you can see, my Mi 4 has a stronger reception, but it's actually not that bad at all. Let's go out of there. What else do we have here? I can show you the flashlight. And this one is actually not so bad at all. I've seen a lot worse. Next up, let's test the browser. Let me just go into my bookmarks. Let me load BBC. And it's loading very fast. Zooming, not a problem. Let's do a screen rotation. But to be fair, let's load the desktop side to see how good it handles larger websites. And it's still loading. And there we have the desktop side, and it's looking good, so browsing should not be a problem at all. Let's test a Adobe Reader to see how fast it renders some complex documents. and it's loading really fast, even though I have a very slow TF card inside. Again, zooming no problem at all. Rotation also looks very good. We can also check out the music player. Let's see if I can find something I have the license for. Let's just give it a try. Let me turn up the volume. Now the speaker is quite loud, but it's nothing to get too excited about. I think it just sounds normal. Let's check out the gallery real fast. Let's go into a picture folder. Let's go into my wallpapers. Let's see what we have here. Let's just load some pictures. And right here I can show you that the air gestures are working, but they're only working in one direction. So this is definitely something I will never use. Let's rotate a picture, let's do a little zooming, and the colors really look very nice. Let's try out a video real fast. Let's go into videos. Let's test out my standard 1080p video. Now this is recorded in a MKV format, and let's see if it plays smoothly, and I believe it does. And again, the colors look really nice. We can also check out the camera real fast. Now this camera has all these standard effects that you know from many other phones, but it also has something special called a picture-in-picture. So this is a nice little fun feature right here. I don't know if you can see this. Hello. Let's just go back into the normal mode and let's take a quick picture right here. Let's check out how that looks like. And it's very detailed. I really like this camera, but please make sure to check out some sample pictures on my blog. And what else can we test? Of course we can test the USB on the go. Let me just hook up my USB device right here. If I can get this in. It will take a second to mount. Cancel. Let's go into the file manager, and there you have it. It found the external USB storage. Let's see if I have something I can load right here. We have a wallpaper, so USB on the go is working just fine. Anyway, let me just tell you what I'm thinking about this device. Some thoughts about this device. The build quality is good. It feels really solid, but there are two things I don't like so much. Number one, the metal frame in my opinion is just a painted plastic, even though Andy from GIS China may disagree, and the volume buttons are a little bit wobbly. The display is good, the colors, contrast and brightness, nothing to complain about, but I'm not so sure if those are the best viewing angles I've ever seen, and of course a full HD resolution would have been nicer. Then there are of course some obvious pros like Dualsim, LTE, GLONASS support, the memory card extension, a removable battery, and I also like the multicolor notification LED a lot. The Wi-Fi reception I would rate as a good average. It's not quite as strong as my Mi 4, but still very good. The GPS reception is very strong, and thanks to GLONASS support it is also very stable. The GSM 3G, 4G reception and also the call sound quality I would rate as normal and nothing to complain about. The main camera takes good pictures in my opinion, but of course this is in the eye of the beholder, so please make sure to check out some sample pictures on my blog. A gyroscope sensor would have been nice, and I'm not so sure how accurate the magnetic field sensor actually is. and I absolutely do not like that the home, back and menu buttons do not light up. Last but not least, let me try to show you some viewing angles of this device and do a little gaming. Thank you so much for watching, have a great day and hope to see you again.